There is a sacred moment in every soul's journey when it finally stops running, not from the world, not from failure, not even from pain, but from itself. A moment so quiet it cannot be heard with the ears, yet so loud it echoes through lifetimes. That is the moment of awakening. And it is not found in striving nor earned through suffering. It comes when you realize this one truth. You cannot move forward holding on. It's a simple sentence, almost forgettable, yet within it lies the entire path to peace, to love, to healing, to liberation. And like all great truths, it doesn't need your agreement to remain true. It only asks for your surrender. But that, for many, is the hardest part, because we cling not only to what hurt us, but to what shaped us. We cling to old identities, to past betrayals, to outdated beliefs, to fear disguised as loyalty, to guilt disguised as love, to pain disguised as purpose. We say we want freedom, but we carry chains of memory around our neck like heirlooms. We say we want peace, but we fuel wars inside our minds with stories of how it should have been, how they should have acted, how we should have known. But life is not lived in the should. It is lived in the now. And now this breath, this moment, this heartbeat is not waiting for you to fix the past. It's waiting for you to release it. Letting go is not forgetting. It is remembering who you are without the burden. It is not denial. It is deeper acceptance. It is saying, I no longer choose to be bound by what no longer serves the becoming of my soul. And that is not weakness. That is not spiritual bypassing. That is the courage of a soul who has seen the fire walk through the ashes and no longer wishes to carry the smoke. You were not born to carry resentment like a badge. You were not created to wear your pain like identity. You were not placed in this body to rehearse tragedy or cling to stories that diminish your light. You are not the wound. You are not the betrayal. You are not the shame. You are the awareness that sees it, the presence that observes it, the light that transcends it. But that light cannot move if you keep anchoring it to old storms. The past is not a place you live. It is a classroom you pass through. And if you don't leave the classroom, you cannot graduate. If you keep rewriting the same paragraph of pain in your mind, how can the next chapter begin? The story of your life is not meant to be one sentence on repeat. It is meant to evolve, to rise, to grow wings. But first, you must loosen your grip on the weight. Ask yourself gently, what have I been holding on to that is holding me back? Is it an apology I never received? A mistake I made years ago? A love that didn't stay? A parent who never saw me? A self-image rooted in survival but starving my spirit? These things, real as they were, are not real now. They are echoes. And you, dear soul, are not an echo. You are the sound. You are the presence. You are the living, breathing miracle that was never meant to dwell in shadows. The ego will tell you that letting go is losing, that forgiveness is weakness, that your pain is power, and to release it is to betray yourself. But the ego is the voice of fear, and fear is clever but not wise. It will try to convince you that if you let go, you'll lose control. But here's the paradox. Only in surrender do you find real control. Only in release do you find peace. Only in unclenching do your hands become free to receive the gifts of now. There is no freedom in reliving the betrayal. There is no healing in reopening the wound. There is no love in rehearsing your unworthiness. So when will you stop? Not because you're forced to, not because someone told you to, but because your soul is tired of dragging yesterday into today. Because your heart is heavy with stories that no longer speak your truth. Because somewhere deep inside you remember what it felt like to be free before the world told you to be ashamed. Before life convinced you to fear, before you mistook survival for identity. You are not here to survive anymore. You are here to live. Fully, freely, boldly, and living cannot happen in reverse. Release is not a moment. It is a practice, a daily offering of the soul, a choice to say, today, I no longer participate in my own imprisonment. It's waking up and gently, without blame, without shame, placing one thought after another on the altar of surrender. It's saying to your mind, thank you for protecting me, but I don't need this story to be safe anymore. I don't need this pain to remind me who I am, because who you are does not come from what hurt you. It comes from what lives beneath the hurt, the silent stillness, the space between thoughts. The observer who never changes, no matter how much your story does, this observer, this divine spark, is always whispering, let it go. Let it go so you can rise. Let it go so you can feel joy without fear. Let it go so you can move forward, not with bitterness, but with wisdom. Let it go, not because it didn't matter, but because you do. And that's the heart of it. You matter more than the memory. You matter more than the injustice. You matter more than the approval you never got. Your peace matters more than your need to be right. Your freedom matters more than the familiar pain you've rehearsed for years. But to honor your worth, you must be willing to unclench, to stop worshiping the pain as teacher and begin seeing it as doorway, to stop bowing at the altar of memory and begin dancing in the sanctuary of now. Letting go is not something you do once and forget. It is something you live. It is a frequency you choose, a vibration of lightness, a declaration of trust, trust that you are safe without the story, trust that you are held even in the unknown, trust that the future does not need your wounds to build itself. It only needs your presence. And the present, this sacred, miraculous now, is always whispering, come home. Come home not to who they wanted you to be, but who you were before the world taught you to hold on. Come home to your breath, to your body, to your being. You cannot move forward holding on. Not because you're bad, not because you're broken, but because life is motion and clinging is a form of spiritual paralysis. You were not made to stay stuck. You were made to evolve, to open, to expand. So loosen the grip just a little. Breathe into the space that opens. Trust what rises to the surface. And listen, truly listen to the still voice within that's been waiting, not for your perfection, but for your willingness. The willingness to be free. There is a place beyond thought, beyond pain, beyond identity, where all that remains is awareness, pure, infinite, undivided awareness. It does not grieve the past. It does not fear the future. It does not hold on. It simply is. And this place is you. The eternal you. The you that cannot be damaged by what they said. The you that cannot be diminished by what happened. The you that doesn't seek validation, doesn't chase worth, doesn't collect grievances as proof of identity. That you is still here, beneath the layers, beneath the noise, beneath the stories that you keep recycling, like old photographs, whose colors have long faded, but whose emotional residue still stings. You keep returning to the wound because some part of you believes healing is found in the familiarity of pain. But healing is not found in rereading the same chapter. Healing is found in the decision to close the book. You don't have to destroy it. You don't have to burn the pages. You simply have to stop opening it every morning as if your worth is still written there. You are not what happened to you. You are what you choose to become in the space after. And that space, that divine, limitless, quiet space, is where your power has always lived. The power to let go, to forgive, to transcend, not because it makes what happened okay, but because it frees you from the prison of identifying with it. The greatest act of liberation is not marching out into the world demanding change. It is turning inward and saying, I refuse to suffer twice. Once for the event, and again for the memory of it. That is radical freedom. That is soul maturity. That is awakening. To awaken is not to fix yourself. It is to remember you were never broken. It is to gently, lovingly begin removing the masks. The one that says, I am a victim. The one that says, I am not enough. The one that says, I must be strong. by never letting go. Strength is not resistance. It is surrender. It is the surrender of the false self, the one built on defense, on survival, on gripping, so that the true self can emerge. And when it does, oh, how light the world becomes. Because suddenly, you are not walking around armored by trauma. You are walking around open, vulnerable, whole. You are no longer echoing the past in every relationship, every silence, every expectation. You are present, here, awake. And presence, true presence, has no room for yesterday's ghosts. The mind will try to tempt you back. It will whisper, but they never apologized. It will shout, but you were wronged. It will plead, but if you let go, who will protect you? Let it speak. Let it cry. Let it roar. And then smile at it the way you would smile at a child who still believes monsters live under the bed. Because fear is a child, and the ego is its bedtime story. But you are the parent now. You are the one who says, shh, it's okay. We don't need to hold on to that anymore. We don't need to keep the pain to feel safe. We are safe now. We are loved now. We are free now. And in that moment, the soul exhales, because the soul has always known letting go is not loss. It is return. It is the return to your nature, to your wholeness, to the place before fear taught you to close, before shame taught you to shrink, before pain taught you to pretend. You don't have to pretend anymore. Not to be okay, not to be strong, not to be what someone else needed you to be so you could feel loved. Love does not ask for pretending. Love only asks for presence. And presence cannot enter a heart that is clenched. Unclench, let the light in. Let it find the parts of you that still believe pain is proof. Let it bathe the corners of your spirit where old voices still live, repeating old verdicts. You're not worthy. You're too much. You should have known better. Let the light find those voices and show them the door, not with anger, but with compassion. Because they were trying to protect you once. But you don't need protection now. You need truth. You need softness. You need grace. And grace is what arrives when you let go. It does not enter through the door of control. It enters through the window of surrender. It drips down like rain on a dry desert soul, refreshing, forgiving, soothing. And once you felt it, truly felt it, you will never again mistake holding on for strength. So breathe, and as you breathe, feel the weight begin to lift, not all at once, but breath by breath. Let each inhale be a promise. I choose life. Let each exhale be a release. I surrender the rest. Because holding on is not sacred. Letting go is. Holding on is not loyal. Letting go is. Holding on is not love. Letting go is. Love says, I want you to be free, even if you is a version of yourself still stuck in yesterday, even if you is someone who hurt you but doesn't have power over you anymore, even if you is the person you thought you had to be. You don't. You don't have to be anything today except free. And to be free, you must make peace with the fact that the past will never be different. And that's okay. It doesn't need to change for you to heal. It only needs your willingness to no longer carry it as your identity. You are not here to avenge the past. You are here to resurrect the present. You are not here to prove your pain. You are here to embody your light. And that light, oh beloved, that light was never lost. Only hidden beneath layers of thought, of memory, of identification. But light is not destroyed by shadows. It only waits to be uncovered. Uncover it, not tomorrow, not next year, now. Because every day you wait is a day you feed what no longer serves you. Every moment you delay is a moment you remain bound. and you were not born to be bound. You were born to remember. You cannot move forward holding on. Not because you're doing it wrong, but because you were never meant to stay in one place, especially not one built from pain. You are fluid. You are ever-changing. You are movement itself. Life through you wants to dance, not dwell. Wants to rise, not ruminate. Wants to create, not cling. So step into that stream. Let go of the banks. Trust that where it takes you is exactly where your soul has been trying to go all along. Freedom is not in the future. Freedom is in the decision to stop gripping the past. Let go. Let go, because the moment you do, your soul will rise, not as a victim, not as a survivor, but as what it has always been beneath the story, a miracle. And miracles don't hold on. They flow. There comes a moment when the soul is no longer content with just surviving, when getting by, hanging on, and pushing through start to feel like spiritual starvation. When even your most convincing justifications for pain begin to sound hollow in your own ears. This is the moment of divine dissatisfaction, not with the world, not with others, not even with your past, but with the false self you've outgrown. Because pain has an expiration date, but only you can choose to honor it. You are not here to rehearse hurt until it becomes your home. You are here to outgrow it, transcend it, gently set it down like old clothes that no longer fit. And that's the thing about holding on. It often feels like protection when it's really stagnation. It feels like strength when it's really resistance. It feels like identity when it's really avoidance. Avoidance of truth, avoidance of presence, avoidance of the sacred emptiness that comes before transformation. But emptiness is not something to fear. It is the womb of rebirth. The ego will do everything it can to avoid this void. It will bargain, analyze, justify, and distract. It will fill the space with noise, with judgment, with replays and projections, because the ego knows that if you sit in the silence long enough, you will remember who you really are, and the ego cannot survive in that remembrance. Because in truth, you are not the one who was abandoned, betrayed, or rejected. You are the one who witnessed it. You are not the character in the story. You are the light that holds the entire story. You are not the mistake. You are not the regret. You are not the sorrow. You are the sky, and these were only passing storms. So why build a house beneath the clouds? Why stay anchored to a moment that no longer exists? Why continue to argue for your pain as if it gives you meaning? You do not need pain to prove your depth. You do not need sorrow to prove your strength. You do not need struggle to prove your value. You, beloved, are valuable because you exist, not because you endured. You are worthy because you breathe, not because you suffered. This is the cosmic truth. You are already enough, already whole, already free. You only suffer when you forget. And forgetting is easy in a world that teaches you to collect wounds like currency. You are praised for your scars, but not your healing. Admired for your endurance, but not your peace. Celebrated for your hustle, but not your stillness. But healing is not a performance. Peace is not applause. And stillness is not laziness. It is presence. Presence that allows you to finally say, I am ready to let go. Not because I am weak, but because I am done confusing pain with purpose. I am done mistaking familiar for right. I am done feeding a story that keeps me small. The story is not who you are. It's who you were when you didn't yet know how free you could be. And you are learning now. You are beginning to see that the only chains still holding you are the ones you keep feeding with your focus. That memory only has weight when you choose to lift it. That pain only echoes when you keep calling its name. You are beginning to see that letting go is not erasing it, is evolving. You are not deleting the past. You are releasing its grip on your future. You are not abandoning what shaped you. You are honoring what you've outgrown. And just like the tree does not mourn the leaves it sheds each autumn, your soul does not grieve the stories it no longer needs. It rejoices. It dances. It rises lighter into the sky of infinite becoming. Let yourself shed. Let yourself become. Let yourself be free of the need to fix what never needed fixing in the first place, because your worth, your divinity, your light was never broken, only buried. Buried beneath layers of not enough. Buried beneath they don't love me. Buried beneath I failed. Beneath they left. Beneath I should have done more. But you cannot breathe deeply when you are buried in shame. You cannot rise when you are wrapped in guilt. You cannot love when you are still holding on to a version of yourself who was only trying to survive. It's time to rise, not by force, but by release. Not by adding more, but by surrendering what never belonged to your essence. The pain was never yours to keep. The betrayal was never yours to carry. The guilt was never yours to wear. These were experiences, not definitions. Events, not destinies. Chapters, not conclusions. So take a breath, and with that breath, send love to every version of yourself who didn't know how to let go, to the one who stayed too long, to the one who held on too tightly, to the one who thought that by carrying the pain, they were proving something noble, something holy. And then, with your next breath, release them. Let the younger you rest. Let the sorrow be seen, then dissolve. Let the river of now carry away the residue of yesterday, not with effort, with grace, because grace is the rhythm of the soul when it's finally free from pretending. You don't have to pretend anymore, not to be fine, not to be strong, not to be perfect. You only have to be present. And in presence, there is no room for clinging. Clinging requires tension. Holding on creates resistance. But your soul was made for flow, for expansion, for becoming. And all becoming begins with release. This is the paradox of the spiritual path. We rise not by reaching, but by releasing. Not by striving, but by softening. Not by gripping, but by trusting. Trust the letting go. Trust the space that opens when you no longer identify with your pain. Trust the silence that comes when the ego stops shouting. Trust the you that emerges when the past is no longer your mirror. You are not what you lost. You are what remains, and what remains is more than enough. So here you are, standing at the edge of a new moment. A moment untouched by your past, untainted by your fears, and unburdened by your stories. A sacred threshold. And the invitation has never been clearer step forward. But you cannot step forward with clenched fists. You cannot move into light while gripping shadows. You cannot rise in truth while wrapped in yesterday. The soul longs to soar, but it cannot fly while you're still tethered to the anchor of what once was. And so you must choose not with the mind, not with logic, not with fear, but with faith. The faith that what lies ahead is more aligned with who you are becoming than what lies behind. And that is the real miracle of letting go. It's not the disappearance of pain, it's the appearance of peace. It's not erasing the story, it's rewriting your relationship to it. It's not pretending it didn't matter, it's realizing you matter more. You are the main character of your life, not the villain of someone else's. You are the author, not the victim. You are the creator, not the captive. But to create, to author, to move you, must put the old pen down. The one that only knows how to write in grief. The one that only sketches in scarcity. The one that doesn't yet believe in your joy. Hold your own hand now. And let the sacred in you rise up and say, no more. No more giving my energy to what cannot love me back. No more feeding the past with the power of the present. No more trading my future for familiar suffering. And in that vow, that sacred, silent vow, you are born again. Not into perfection, but into permission. Permission to love without fear. Permission to forgive without conditions. Permission to be whole without apology. There is nothing noble in keeping your pain alive. You do not need to honor it by repeating it. You do not need to prove your endurance by wearing it. What you went through shaped you, yes, but now your liberation will define you. The ego will say, but if I let go, who am I? And the soul will whisper, finally, yourself. The self that is free of shame, because it remembers that mistakes are part of growth. The self that is free of resentment, because it recognizes that carrying poison does not heal the wound. The self that is free of the need to perform, to prove, to punish, because it has finally come home. And home is not a destination. It is a state of being, a return to presence, a return to peace, a return to the divine. And that's what letting go truly is. It is a return, not a loss, not an ending, not a giving up, but a homecoming, a sacred reunion with your true nature. And in that reunion, there is no room for guilt, no room for proving, no room for replaying what already happened 1,000 times in your mind. There is only breath. And this breath, this holy inhale and exhale, it does not live in yesterday. It does not carry your story. It does not ask who was right. It only asks, are you here? And so I ask you now, are you here? Are you in this breath? Or still lost in a moment that no longer exists? Are you ready to rise? Or still bargaining with a version of yourself that was built on survival? Are you willing, not perfectly, not forever, just in this moment, to let go? To let go of the old pain, not because it wasn't real, but because your healing is more important. To let go of the resentment, not because they deserve forgiveness, but because you deserve peace. To let go of the story, not because it didn't shape you, but because it no longer defines you. You are allowed to be new. You are allowed to walk away from the pain. You are allowed to lay down the guilt. You are allowed to stop carrying your suffering as proof of your worth. You are allowed to be light. And so, in this moment, choose. Choose freedom over familiarity. Choose peace over performance. Choose presence over pain. Let go. Let go. Let go. Not just once, not just today, but as a practice, a rhythm, a way of life. Because this moment, this sacred now, is waiting for you, and it has no room for what you refuse to release. So unclench, exhale, come home to yourself, and remember, you cannot move forward holding on. But the moment you let go even just a little, the universe moves with you. The stars lean closer, the wind shifts, and your path, once clouded by grief, opens with grace. This is your time, not to forget who you were, but to become who you are. Not to avenge your past, but to embody your peace. Not to prove your story, but to live your truth. You are not your pain. You are not your past. You are not your ego. You are not your fear. You are the light that has waited patiently beneath it all. And now that light is ready to rise. Let it move through you. Let it love through you. Let it speak, dance, sing, weep, awaken. Let it be your truth. Let it be your guide. Let it be your home. Because your soul was never meant to carry the burden of what no longer is. It was meant to live in the beauty of what always was. And what always was is you free, whole. Now, you are not the events that have unfolded in your past. You are not the bruises left behind by someone else's misunderstanding of love. You are not the echoes of pain, nor the lingering fear dressed up as memory. The pain happened, yes, but the suffering, that's a choice your soul no longer needs to make. Pain is a signal. Suffering is a story. And you, my friend, are the author of that story. You can put down the pen. You can stop circling the same sentence. You can choose to no longer reread the pages that made you weep. Because while pain is part of the human journey, suffering is a loop created by the ego, fed by identification with what was instead of presence in what is. We live in a world where hurt seems inevitable, but that is only because we confuse what happened to the body, to the circumstances, to the mind with who we are. But the soul does not bleed. The soul does not break. The soul does not suffer unless you tell it to. There is a space inside you, wide as the sky, still as the ocean before the wind, that has never been harmed. And the moment you return to that place, the moment you remember that your essence is untouched by all that has occurred, the chains of suffering begin to loosen. You see, the ego thrives on attachment. It builds monuments out of wounds. It decorates its walls with the past, then sits you down in the middle and calls it truth. But truth is not found in the stories you replay. Truth is found in the awareness that watches them silently, without judgment, without pain. Pain knocks at the door, but suffering is when you let it move in. You feed it, you dress it up, you give it your name, and suddenly the experience becomes an identity. But you were never meant to be the experience. You were meant to witness it, rise from it, grow through it, and let it go. The flower does not mourn the storm. It simply drinks the rain and blooms again. You too are designed to bloom after the breaking. You too are wired for healing, for rising, for returning to the light. But first, you must release the grip. You must stop clutching the pain as if it defines you. Because the longer you hold it, the heavier it becomes, and the more you forget how light your soul truly is. There is no shame in being hurt. There is no weakness in having been wounded. But there is great power, holy, radiant power, in saying, this happened, and I choose to stop carrying it. This broke me open, and I choose not to suffer anymore. Not because the pain didn't matter, but because I matter more. We live in the echo chamber of our own minds, repeating thoughts as if they are commandments, when they are only invitations. You are invited every day to pick up thoughts of peace instead of pain. You are invited to say no thank you to the voice that insists you must suffer because you once hurt. You are invited to stop sitting in the courtroom of your past and start walking in the garden of your present. Do you remember what freedom feels like? It is not the absence of pain. It is the absence of identification with it. It is the knowing that though your hands may tremble and your voice may crack, your spirit is unshaken. That though your eyes have wept rivers, your soul is still the sun rising over them. Let me tell you something your heart already knows. You have everything you need to be free right now. The gate is open. The key was never lost. You only needed to remember that the pain is not your home. Pain is an event. Suffering is a dwelling. And you have lived in that dwelling far too long. Move out, find the stillness, sit in silence, and listen not to the noise of old narratives, but to the soft whisper of truth. You are not broken. You are becoming. The human experience is filled with contrast, joy and sorrow, light and shadow, comfort and discomfort. But none of these are permanent. They pass through you like the seasons. And suffering is what happens when you try to stop the season from changing. When you say, no, let winter stay forever, even when spring is knocking, you don't need to fight what happened. You only need to stop resisting what is. Acceptance is not surrender. It is the first step to reclaiming your power. Because the moment you say, yes, this happened, but it does not define me, you reclaim the throne of your being. You stop serving the past. You start serving peace. And peace, my dear, is always available. It's not earned through punishment. It's not achieved through reliving your wounds. It's not won by proving your suffering was real. Peace comes when you say, I have suffered long enough. I have paid the price in tears, in tension, in the years I could not feel the sun. And now I choose light. You can drop the weight. You can drop the narrative. You can choose to carry only the lesson, not the scar. Forgiveness is not just for others. It is a balm for your own heart. It is saying to yourself, I love you enough to let you breathe again. I love you enough to stop punishing you for something you couldn't control. I love you enough to allow you joy. And that is the beginning of true healing. Not fixing the past, but releasing it. Not changing the memory, but changing your relationship to it. Not waiting for an apology, but giving yourself permission to rise. You are not your pain. You are not your grief. You are not your story. You are the still awareness behind it all. The ocean that holds the wave. The sky that holds the storm. When you remember this, when you embody this, the suffering begins to dissolve. Not because life becomes easier, but because you stop adding weight to what is already heavy. You stop dragging the chain and start walking free. Even now, as these words meet your ears, something inside you remembers. A softness, a silence, a space untouched by trauma. This is your true nature. This is your home. Return to it. There comes a moment in your inner evolution where you look in the mirror not to see your face, but to meet your awareness. To recognize that the reflection staring back is not the entirety of who you are. Beneath the surface of the physical, beyond the drama of the emotional, deeper than the noise of your thoughts, lives the still and spacious presence of your soul, and it has never been hurt. The body remembers, the mind repeats, but the soul observes in silence, untouched by all of it. You are not the memory, you are the one remembering. You are not the pain, you are the witness of the pain. And in that sacred awareness, all suffering begins to soften. Suffering only survives in resistance. It needs your agreement, it needs your participation, it needs your attention to grow, but once you stop watering it, it withers. Once you say, I no longer need this story to feel real, you begin to exit the prison of identification and step into the open air of presence. Do you realize how many years of joy we delay, hoping for a better yesterday? How many mornings we waste because we're still reliving an old night? And yet, the present moment, this very breath, has never left us. It sits patiently, offering peace in exchange for surrender. Not surrender to the pain, but surrender of the need to make it personal. When we suffer, it's not the pain itself that crushes us, it's the meaning we assign. It's the belief that it was unfair, that it shouldn't have happened, that it took something from us that we can never get back. And yes, it's true, things happen that pierce the soul, that bring us to our knees, that change the shape of our lives. But it is also true that no event, no matter how deep the wound, can alter your divine identity. You are not here to carry burdens forever. You are not here to relive every wrong. You are not here to be the keeper of anguish. You are here to awaken. You are here to remember. You are here to be free. And freedom does not come when everything is resolved. Freedom comes when you stop needing everything to be resolved. The great paradox of healing is that it does not require forgetting what happened. It only requires releasing your grip on it. Holding on is not proof of strength. It's a misunderstanding of where your power comes from. Your power was never in remembering how you were hurt. It's in remembering that the hurt cannot touch your essence. A storm can bend the branches, but it cannot uproot the sky. And you, dear soul, are more sky than tree. You are the spaciousness in which the pain passed through, not the pain itself. And here is the most freeing realization of all. It was never your job to suffer. It was never your duty to carry the weight of other people's actions. It was never your purpose to punish yourself for being human, for having feelings, for needing love, for not knowing then what you know now. Let go of the should-haves. Let go of the why me. Let go of the questions that circle but never land. The universe does not demand explanations. It only invites evolution. You did not fail because you were hurt. You are not broken because you still feel. You are simply unfolding, growing, cracking open into something wiser, something kinder, something lighter. And lightness does not mean forgetting. It means remembering who you are beyond what happened. It means finally telling yourself, I've heard enough. It's time to live again. There is a sacred space within you that has not aged, not changed, not been stained by anything you've endured. This space is your truth. It is always calm, always open, always whole. And every time you choose not to suffer, even in the smallest of ways, you come closer to that space. Every time you breathe instead of judge, release instead of relive, observe instead of attach, you come home. Do you see now? The pain already happened. There is no undoing it. But there is something greater. There is outgrowing it. There is rising from it. There is transmuting it into something that no longer poisons your heart. Yes, the memories are still there, but so is the witness. And the witness, the real, you knows that peace is not something you earn by punishing yourself. Peace is what you receive when you choose to stop fighting what already ended. Stop defending your suffering. Stop building shrines to your scars. Stop believing that your pain is the most interesting thing about you. There is a vastness in you waiting to be known. There is joy in you waiting to be reclaimed. There is purpose in you that has nothing to do with what broke you. This moment, this very breath is asking, will you let go? Will you let the past walk away without chasing it? Will you set down the heavy armor you no longer need? You may not know what comes next. You may not have all the answers, but you can choose peace anyway. Peace is not a product of understanding. Peace is a product of acceptance. And acceptance does not mean approval. It does not mean saying what happened was right. It means saying, I will not allow it to shape my life one moment longer. That is not weakness. That is awakening. Let yourself weep, yes. Let yourself feel what was never felt. Let the grief rise, not so you can suffer, but so it can finally move through. The body holds pain until we're ready to release it. Let the tears fall, but then let the tears dry and walk forward. Not away from what happened, but toward who you truly are. Forgiveness does not mean the past is erased. It means you are no longer willing to suffer in its shadow. It means you have chosen your soul's freedom over your mind's righteousness. It means you no longer need to prove you were wronged in order to prove that you are worthy of healing. And you are worthy, not because of what you've endured, but because of who you've always been beneath it all. Right now, in this very instant, you are being called into remembrance, not of your wounds, but of your wholeness, not of your failures, but of your eternal nature, not of your identity as the victim, but as the conscious presence who cannot be victimized. The ego will scream. It will beg you to hold on, to stay loyal to the pain, to keep circling the same story. But you are not the ego. You are the awareness that watches it spin. And in that awareness, there is the power to choose again. There is a kind of liberation that doesn't come with fanfare. It doesn't announce itself with thunder or fireworks. It arrives in the quiet moments when you finally stop asking why and start whispering thank you. Not because the pain was good, but because it awakened something inside you that was asleep. Because it brought you to the edge where you could no longer pretend, and in that still place, you finally remembered the truth. You are not what happened to you. You are what you choose to become now. The suffering ends when the identification ends, and identification is nothing more than a habit of attaching to thoughts that don't serve you. a habit of believing the emotions without questioning their source, a habit of clinging to a version of yourself that no longer exists. But habits are not who you are. They are just choices repeated. They are just grooves in the mind. And grooves can be smoothed. Patterns can be undone. The brain rewires, the nervous system relaxes, the identity untangles the moment you say, "This does not belong to me anymore." You may feel afraid to let go. There is strange safety in suffering, a false sense of control, a familiarity in pain. But healing asks you to step into the unknown, to loosen your grip on the drama that defined you, to say goodbye to the identity built from wounds, and walk into the light of who you've always been before the story, beyond the scars. Can you feel it? That quiet voice rising inside saying, "There's more to you than this." That voice is real. It is sacred. It is the soul reminding you of your vastness, your strength, your divinity, and it will wait as long as you need, but it will never stop calling. You do not need to be fixed. You only need to be remembered. Not by others, by yourself. Remember the softness you buried, the innocence you silenced, the laughter you postponed. Remember what it felt like before the pain taught you to armor your heart. That place still exists. It is not gone. It is not broken. It is simply waiting beneath the rubble of your resistance. And the resistance is not you. It's just fear dressed in logic. It's the voice that says, "If I let go, I'll be weak." But letting go is not weakness. It is the ultimate act of strength. Anyone can carry pain. But to release it, to truly open your hands and say, "No more," that requires a courage the world cannot measure. The world may not understand your healing. It may still ask you to explain. It may still define you by what happened. But your soul is not here to be understood by those still asleep. Your soul is here to awaken and to shine so brightly that others remember how to wake as well. You are not the emotion. You are the space it moves through. You are not the thought. You are the stillness that watches. And suffering fades when you stop mistaking the weather for the sky. This breath right now is a chance to come home, not to the old identity, but to the open field of awareness where nothing needs to be solved and everything is already whole. How long will you delay your peace, waiting for the past to apologize? How long will you postpone joy, hoping someone else will finally see your pain and make it right? The truth is, they may never understand. They may never say the words you long to hear. But your healing does not depend on their awakening. It depends on yours. You can choose to forgive without permission. You can choose to let go without closure. You can choose to stop suffering even if the world continues spinning in ignorance. Because you are not here to win a courtroom battle. You are here to live, to be free, to love without condition, to release the anchors and fly. And yes, part of you will resist this. Part of you has grown so familiar with the story that it feels like a second skin. But you are not here to live a life of repetition. You are here for transformation. You were not created to carry pain forever. You were created to awaken through it, to become a vessel for compassion, to become a lighthouse for others still caught in the storm. There is no nobility in suffering. The soul does not evolve through punishment. It evolves through presence, through surrender, through the decision, again and again, to choose love over fear, even when the fear seems justified. You will feel the temptation to revisit the pain. The mind will want to dissect it, to solve it, to find meaning in the chaos. But meaning is not found in the mind. Meaning is what the soul creates when the mind becomes silent. Can you sit in silence? Not in avoidance, but in reverence? Can you feel what you've been avoiding? Can you let it rise? Not to attach to it, but to finally witness it without judgment? That is where healing begins. Not in fixing, but in seeing clearly. Not in resisting, but in allowing. not in blaming, but in blessing. Bless it all. Not because it was right, but because it brought you here. Because it cracked the shell around your heart and allowed the light to pour in. Because it reminded you that even in the darkest hour, something in you remained unshaken. That something is your eternal self. The part of you untouched by pain. The part of you that has watched lifetimes come and go. The part of you that is pure awareness, infinite, formless, serene. And when you live from that space, the suffering has no foothold. It cannot anchor into stillness. It cannot grasp what is not grasping. It cannot survive in the presence of truth. The truth is this: you are free right now. You do not need to earn it. You do not need to wait. The gate is open. You simply need to walk through. Let the memories be just that, memories. Let the pain be a teacher, not a tenant. Let the suffering dissolve in the silence that holds no resistance. This is not a destination. It is a return, a remembrance, a homecoming to the soul that never left you. Even when you turned away, you are the light beneath the wound. You are the peace beneath the thought. You are the presence beneath the noise. And the moment you stop looking for healing and become the space in which healing happens, everything changes. There comes a holy moment, quiet and unannounced, when you no longer seek to be rescued from your past because you realize you were never truly trapped by it. The door was always open. The chains were always imagined. And the only captor was your belief that you had to keep suffering in order to honor what you had been through. But you don't honor pain by holding it. You honor pain by freeing yourself from it. You don't need to suffer to prove you've been hurt. You don't need to wear the memory as armor. You don't need to explain to anyone why you are ready to be free. It is enough that your soul is ready. Let this be the moment you stop rehearsing the story. Let this be the breath that no longer carries resistance. Let this be the second you say, I forgive myself, I forgive them, I release the grip, I surrender the fight. And then just rest. Don't reach, don't strive, don't try to force a spiritual awakening out of the rubble. Just be still long enough to feel the light that never left. Rest in it, float in it, let it hold you. This is where transformation happens. Not by force, not by effort, but by resting in your true self. The part of you that does not need healing because it was never hurt. That is the great paradox of healing. You begin by thinking you are shattered. You work, you cry, you climb. And one day, through grace or surrender or silence, you realize there was nothing to fix, nothing to put back together. You were whole all along. You just forgot. You are not broken. You are not fragile. You are not your lowest day. You are not the echo of someone else's behavior. You are not the failure you feared. You are not the child who didn't know how to protect themselves. You are not the adult who carried shame like a shield. You are divine presence. You are eternal stillness. You are the sky that witnessed it all and remained unscathed. Can you feel it now? The breath flowing in and out without judgment, the heart beating without apology, the stillness beneath every thought, waiting like an open palm. This is grace. This is your nature. This is what suffering tried to cover, but never could destroy. There is no enlightenment in punishment, no salvation in shame. There is only this: remembering, returning, releasing. And you can do that now. Not later, not when the world is safer, or your mind is quieter, or they finally say they're sorry. You can return now because the path home was never outside you. The pain happened, yes. And some of it cut deep. Some of it left you breathless. Some of it made you doubt the goodness of the world. But look at you now. Look how much you still care. How much you still long to grow. How much light still leaks through the cracks you thought would consume you. That light is your proof. Proof that the soul cannot be extinguished. Proof that your essence is stronger than your story. Proof that even when the mind screams in pain, the spirit whispers peace. You do not need to become someone new. You only need to become who you were before the world convinced you to suffer. Let go of the label, let go of the guilt, let go of the need to carry every hurt as if it were sacred. The sacredness is not in the wound. The sacredness is in your becoming. Yes, you've known darkness. Yes, you've tasted bitterness. But bitterness is not your home. Grief is not your identity. The soul cannot be defined by what it survives. If you need a mantra to carry forward, let it be this: I am no longer willing to suffer. I release the need to be at war with what was. I choose peace, not because it is easy, but because it is who I am. And repeat it. Not just with your voice, but with your breath, your posture, your presence. Say it when the memory resurfaces. Say it when the body tenses. Say it when the ego tries to seduce you back into its narrative. I am no longer willing to suffer. I choose peace. I choose peace. I choose peace. And each time you say it, something old falls away. Each time you say it, something sacred is remembered. Each time you say it, the past becomes lighter until one day it is no longer a weight but a whisper, a chapter, a part of the journey, not the definition of it. This is the gift of awareness. This is the gift of awakening. Not that pain disappears, but that suffering does. Not that you forget, but that you remember more deeply who you truly are. And who you are is not fragile. You are light, embodied. You are love, remembering. You are wholeness, reawakened. You are here, alive, awake, and ready to stop surviving and start living. Ready to stop circling and start soaring. Ready to stop suffering and start simply being. Because the pain happened, yes. But the suffering, that ends now.